Welcome everyone to the Apex Racing Academy VRS Super Series for Season 7. And I promise you, we're going to be every single round of the championship live from the studio. Myself, Tim Fitzpatrick. Welcome along. I get the feel we're in for a cracking season, aren't we?
Yeah, also be here in the Apex TV studio, and it's an entertaining series. I love the format. I love the drivers in this one as well. And it should be in for
What you say about that? 4 continents, 7 countries, 9 rounds, 36 races. I mean, as well to boot, 3 championships on the line. If that's not enough to whet anyone's appetite, I don't know what does, really.
I don't know what could be better. And of course, it's in the Formula 3 cars as well, one of the best race cars in really the world, and particularly in iRacing. So it should be a really good championship, a car that so many of these drivers are so familiar with. It's been on iRacing for so many years. Drivers and teams are absolutely dialed into this thing. And so we really see some top-level driving in this championship.
I'm sure we're going to. And, well, let's take a little look at the calendar for the season. Well, of course, we're today at the cathedral of speed that is Monza to kick off the season. Before we head across to Japan for 2 rounds, Fuji and Okayama. Before then heading across back to Europe, Zandvoort, and then Circuit of the Americas to reach the halfway point of the championship. Then it's the Nürburgring, Long Beach, Interlagos and Zolder. Sam, I don't know about you, but round 6 and 7, those two, sorry, 7 and 8 even, apologies. Long Beach and Interlagos, those are the 2 I'm really looking forward to this season. What about yourself?
I think so. Long Beach is going to be manic, isn't it? I mean,
the
potential for pile-ups, we're not going to lie. But I think that's one is that a circuit that a lot of the drivers enjoy. And it's just great to have so many good race circuits as well. I mean, Monza and Fuji, that's going to be so high speed to open up the season. Proper race circuits, super long straight, super strong slipstream around those tracks. But then you got the contrast with Long Beach and, of course, Zolder as well to round out the season. Not necessarily a track we visit too often, but that's going to be a pivotal round of the championship.
I think it definitely is. It's going to be some really interesting rounds ahead of us. But we've had a bit of a change to the format. So just take us through, you know, what things are going to look like for the season ahead, how each race day is going to form. Yeah,
well, we call this sort of the elimination heat format. And so we go for a 10-minute open qualifying. We then have 2 heats. So half the drivers get entered into heat 1, half the drivers get entered into heat 2. And the top 10 tonight, at least, it may change through the season, but the top 10 from those heats go straight through to the A final. The rest go through to a B final, and the top 4 from that B final also make their way into the A final. So really, it's all about those secure results, Tim, I think. If you're in the top 10 in your heat, stay there. Don't risk it. Get into the A final. That's where the points are on offer. And I personally love this one because, honestly, we pay a lot of attention in a lot of series to the top positions for the race win. In this series, it's more important who gets a top 10. That 10th place is just as coveted as first place.
It definitely is. It's going to be some interesting tactics going out there indeed. But I think, talking of those drivers, I think it's a good time for us to take a look at the entry list and see which drivers we're going to have. I mean, well, some real names on that there. For me, I think my pick of the bunch from that is Conor Wagner. I think he's going to be definitely one to watch for me, Sam. I've watched him a fair few times, and that guy's rapid.
I think he's going to be a very good shot. New driver to the championship. We've also got Mattis Martinsson returning to the championship. Nicholas Rasmussen, we're great to see him back. He's been in so many Apex Racing TV series over the years. My pick, though, Tobias Olsson. He's won the last 2 championships. Didn't have a great F4 championship, but I think he is the man to beat in this car. He's so consistent. He's good at avoiding the crashes. That's a curse if I've ever heard one. But I really think that he could make it through on the bounce, which would be something I'm not sure if we've ever seen in Apex Racing League before.
Can it be a, wow, record-breaking season? Well, we'll definitely have to find out. But let's have a cross into Pro-Am. And so a fair few returning names in here, Sam. And, wow, I don't know about you. Who's your pick of the bunch? I'll let you go first for this one.
Yeah, well, I think for the Pro-Am, I'm going to go for a bit of a rogue choice, Sarah Molfatova. She's the second lowest I-rated driver. She won the F4 Pro-Am Championship, however. Quite a surprise in that we started off as an Am, got promoted to Pro-Am, still won the Pro-Am. And so I think she's going to be really good. We know that she's going to be committed to the car. And so I think it's a bit of a rogue choice, but I don't know what you think about that one, Tim.
For myself, well, my good friend from Jeans Bowl, James Cockram, he's racing in the series. I think I'll be rude not to give him a shout out and a mention and keep an eye on him. Although I know he won't pick up the championship because I know he's not going to be able to make it for every single round. But even so, he's going to be one to watch, and I think he'll definitely be knocking on the top end of Pro-Am and into Pro, definitely. But let's take a look at all the Am drivers, and, well, again, there's a whole raft of different drivers in here, different abilities, quite a wide spread in terms of the iRacing. So the driver's rating ability within iRacing, so normally detects their skill level, but not quite always true, Sam. You get some drivers who are a bit lower than what they truly are.
Absolutely, yeah, and if you can sort of grind out those results, you can kind of get your I-rating up, but you can have very talented drivers who are a little bit lower I-rating, so I think that is the case with a few of these amateur drivers. Personally, I struggle to pick out who's going to win. I think Michael Griffin is a safe choice. He was very good in the F4s, he was in the Pro-Ams for the F4s, got a lot of good results, got into a lot of A finals. I think he's a safe pair of hands, but honestly, I think there's 5 or 6 drivers right there who could end up on top.
It definitely is. I mean, for me, the driver, my sort of pick of the bunch would be Nick Horvath, teammate of our fellow commentator here at Apex Racing TV, Austin Knight. And yeah, those guys, we were talking about them before the show, weren't we, Sam? Don't tend to do a lot of officials, so they won't be getting the I rating up. But that does mean this is a bit of a misrepresentation of where they are truly at. So I think he's my one to watch out for. But let's have a little look across. We've had some slight changes to Season 7 and in terms of how the season plays out and different rule changes. I think the interesting one for me is that we have PESC driver stewards, so the Porsche E Super Cup, they'll be there officiating the series. Some real, top quality guys, and it's going to be hard to pull the wool over their eyes completely, isn't it?
Yeah, it's nice to have people who know what they're talking about, I guess, when it comes to stewarding. I feel like sometimes stewarding can get a little bit alienating, but these guys are some of the best drivers in all of iRacing. They've done thousands of races, so that's going to be really good to have those guys look at those incidents. And yeah, just a few little minor changes. Points rules are a bit more fair now to the amateur drivers. Of course, we've got official practice races as well, which hopefully will improve the driving standards. And of course, well, we're here, and I think that's the best change of all of them, Tim.
Oh, we are indeed. And if you'd like to be here, then you can join us a week on Sunday. So a week tomorrow, where Apex Racing TV and the whole of the Apex Racing Group are holding an open day. You get yourself some free tickets. You can get up close and personal with some of the gear like we've got sat in front of us here, the pedals, the wheels. There's competitions, chance to win prizes as well. And, well, I don't know if it's a good thing, but you get to meet myself and Sam. That's... might put people off, I might forget that. Tickets are completely for free. You can check out in the chats and you can pick up a link there and come and join us for a great day of fun activities and entertainment. And wow. Yeah. What is not to like, Sam? What is not to like?
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, of course, it's free to turn up. So as long as you get yourself a ticket online, then you can turn up. And if it's a very late decision, then you can just pay £10 at the door as well. So should be a really good day. And of course, yeah, trying out the VRS hardware should be a lot of fun. It's probably top stuff.
It will be indeed. And let's get into today's proceedings a little bit more, Sam. As we mentioned earlier, we're at Monza, the Cathedral of Speed, and it's going to be all about the slipstream, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. This is going to be very tricky to pull away from one another. Of course, we've got a super competitive field at the start of the season, so all the drivers won't be taking part in this round of the season. And so it's going to be much more about the tactics. Who can you work with? Have you got teammates involved? Are you going to go for that move on lap 2, or are you going to just wait behind another driver and maybe get that move on the final lap of the race? So I think that's going to be very important, particularly in the B final, because everyone's sort of out for themselves in the B final. It can get a bit manic, but I think it's a cool head in this scenario. It's a strategic head who's going to come out on top.
Well, as you mentioned, those top 10 from each of the heat races, progressing straight to the final, aren't they? And do you think it's more just about playing it safe in that first race, not being too over-ambitious, not being too bold on overtaking moves?
Yeah, I think so, definitely, because, I mean, if you're retiring, say, from your heat, you're going to be starting in maybe 20th place for the B final. You got to get into the top 4 in order to get through from the B final. So you're leaving yourself 15 places to gain potentially if you crash out in your heat. It's so important to stay in that heat. And even if you're just 11th or 12th, well, at least you're on the front couple of rows of the grid for the B final. You're giving yourself a good shot. So yeah, I think that safe driving mentality is really going to reap rewards for the drivers, not necessarily tonight, but across the season. It's going to play into those drivers' hands.
I remember last time that we visited here, it was, well, some real topsy-turvy events with drivers not progressing that should have done due to early mistakes. It's so easy. I think turn 1 is opening laps, probably the most dangerous spots, not just on the circuit at Monza, but arguably it's one of the most tightest and treacherous spots in the whole of motor racing. Yeah,
so that's going to be a really tricky part of the circuit, and of course that whole lap, first lap as well, lots of narrow chicane, so going to be something for the drivers to watch out for.
I think it is indeed, but we're just going to head to a quick ad break now. We'll see you on the other side, where we'll be getting straight into qualification. We'll see you trackside. Goodbye.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Well, welcome back. Trackside and qualification just getting underway. Drivers heading on to their outlaps. Sam, open qualification. This is all about the slipstream and working together with any teammates or anyone that you want to team up with at this early stage of the championship.
Definitely, yeah. It's going to be super important, this qualifying session. It's going to be a close one, probably one of the closest of the season. It's a long lap, this one. However, there's not too many corners, and if you have a teammate, then you could gain, well, let's face it, over half a second a lap. And that's going to be 20 positions, I imagine, in some areas of this field. So super important for them to work together. And the more teammates you got, potentially, the better you're going to do.
Definitely will have to drag themselves along. That's where we'll get to find out who is going to take the first pole position of the season. There's a few drivers heading around to complete their first flying lap. I tell you what, it's all about the two Swedes right now of Sim Race Sweden Esports, Arvidarsson and your man Sam Olsen, both setting the timing sheets alight right now.
Yeah, we see plenty of purple on the timing towers as the first few lap times are being put in, and here's Arvidsson currently at the top, driving in our F4 championship actually last season. He did alright in the first couple of rounds, but we didn't see him too much, and Sim Racing Sweden looking very good with Martinsson in that second place former driver in this series. Zwemstra, he moves up into third position now. Top of the Pro-Ams is currently Paliku Grant right now, and none of the amateur drivers yet to set a lap time, but plenty of them are out on circuit as our timing leaderboard lights up for the first time this season.
Just coming up to halfway through qualifying right now, Sam. A few of the drivers are leaving it a bit late. That's some risky stuff. We see Rosenkrantz there just head up into second for Simsa Esports, the German. That's a really strong lap, only 0.03 of a second slower than Arvidsson. I mean, we've got some really, really close, tight times. A whole second it takes, the difference between our current pole sitter, then Horvath in 14th. That's a really tight spread of drivers, Sam.
Yeah, and currently Horvath, your pick for the Amateur Championship. Well, let's stop the count everyone, guys, because this is looking good for the Canadian. He's currently up there in P14 and top of the amateur drivers, so it's still plenty more of this session to go. Jesper Sandström we ride on board with now. Olkentech NHL by Almitech right now out on circuit, and he will be looking for the front couple of rows of the grid if he possibly can. Plenty of green sectors, and this looks like a quick lap because he's taking the absolute shortest line to the start-finish straight, and he goes up into fourth position as Olsen, I think just behind him, managed to go to the top. So Olsen now clear, but Martinsson now goes top. It's a Sim Race Sweden 1, 2, 3.
Well, that was the big institute there for Sandström. He was at the front of the train, Sam, so he was towing absolutely everyone along as Conor Wagner. Wow, what a time. Your first flying lap, and you go just over 100th of a second slower than the pole side, the American. Well, I said he was one to watch, Sam. He's definitely kicking some boots out there, really, really pushing hard. But Sandström, he was just towing absolutely everyone along, and everyone behind him went faster than him. Definitely not in the place that you want to be in this qualifying right now, Sam, is at the front of a train. You want to be in the middle or even at the back.
Yeah,
in the place of that slipstream.
Exactly, because yeah, of course you're losing out on your own lap time, but as you say, you're helping everyone else. So, and if that's your teammates, that's all good. But when you're not helping your teammates, when you're helping other drivers, then it isn't exactly working quite as well. Currently got 27 drivers setting lap times. Still a few more to complete their lap times, but all the pros have got a time on the board, and it is currently Christian Glamsetter, by the way, top of the Pro-Ams. Former AM champion, I think, is Glamsetter in the F3, so he is a danger one. And it's now Cole McLean, top of the amateurs there in 16th place. And just a reminder as well, the odd drivers, so 1st, 3rd, 5th, 7th, 9th, and etc., they go into Heat 1, and the even drivers go into Heat 2. So we can start to have a good idea at this point of the session of who's going to be in the same race as one another. Are the teammates going to get together, or are they going to be split up slightly?
Pits as well. Arvidsson just goes into provisional pole position for now, 142.8 from the Swede, displacing his teammate. But who's got something else left in the bag? We're into the dying stages of call-off behind 2 minutes 30 even left on the clock here at Monza in round 1. Sarah Mulisova, your key picks, Sam. No time on the board, had a first lap time deleted. Needs to get at least a banker lap in, and well, running wide like that's not going to truly help, is it?
No, that's pushing the limits of the 1x. Let's see if this one is going to count for the 2.79 across the line, and I don't think it did, so just lining up for another lap time there, but only got one more to go. Remember, the drivers have got to complete their lap time before the 10 minutes are up. I think I just saw maybe Donna Roy just pop up the times. There goes Alistair Hay. He's our top I-rated Pro-Am driver. He goes into 16th place. Aaron Smith, though, terrific lap time there. He goes up into P9 overall and top of the Pro-Ams, and he's only 4/10 off pole position.
Smith leaping like a salmon up through the leaderboards there. Top of Pro-Am, really, really pushing it right now, and with great success. finding the right moment in traffic to be able to push on through. It is right. My picks, Horvath. What can the Canadian do? You know, a little bit off the pace compared to Cole McLean right now. His fellow countryman who's leading those AM standings in terms of qualifying, and by quite a considerable margin, Sam. 7 places between these two.
Yeah, quite a comfortable gap right now between those couple of drivers. I'm just seeing if we're going to have any changes at the front. Arvidsson in the pits at the moment. We've got Wagner back in the pits, Schnabel back in the pits. However, Martinson and Olsen crossing the line fairly soon. There goes Suarez. He moves up into 21st position. Within a second, I'm genuinely surprised it's even this close, because a second covers our top 21 drivers. As it stands, Jack Reeve, a late entry to the championship. He crosses the line. Sir Morfotova, Pro-Am champion in the F4 Championship. My pick for the championship for this season as well. Can she do me proud across the line? It's 30th position. She won't be particularly pleased with that. But again, it's only 1.4 seconds off the pace. And dare I say, it's so close, we could see a lot of movement come the heat races in terms of position.
Indeed. Still to complete his lap is Rasmussen and Smith. Wow, where did that come from? Gets himself up a couple more places, up into 7th overall, the Pro-Am driver, but Rasmussen just don't think he quite made it across the line there, Sam. Right at the death, he left it late. As we're heading across into Heat 1, tight qualifying. Let's take a look at the grid for our first race of the season. Arvidsson starting from pole with Wagner alongside him, Leonard Schnabel. He's on the second row of the grid, and he shares that with Aaron Smith, the Pro-Am driver. Samstrom, one of our pros, it's forming that column of pro drivers with Pro-Ams on the left. He's joined by Hay on the third row of the grid. Aguilari and Rowlinson make up the fourth row, with Gandolfi and Reed running out your top 10. Then Suarez and Boberg, with Vos and Charney taking it to 14th place. Nick Horvath has Matthew Brewer for company, with Michael Griffin and Jose Arroyo making up your last row of the grid, row 9, with Edward Pop, the German, starting from 19th position. But that might not necessarily be a bad thing, though, Sam. You can see all of the chaos happening in front of him. Might actually pay a little bit dividends.
Yes, yeah, I think you either want to be at the front or the back, don't you? I think in that middle part of the track, potentially Gandolfi and Reeve, maybe Suarez as well, that's going to be quite a tricky thing to manage. Interesting to see all the AMs at the back of the field. We've got 6 AMs rounding out the field from 14th down to 19th position. So they're going to be fighting amongst one another. And if one of them could get into the A final, that's going to be potentially big points for them. So really important that they manage to get through those first few corners clean. But just a reminder to the viewers, top 10 get through to the A final. The rest go through to the B final. You want to get into that A final as bad as possible. That's what pretty much all these AM drivers will be hoping for. The pros will be desperate to get through. They really shouldn't be in the B final, should any of the pros really. So wait to see Suarez potentially get his elbows out in order to make that position.
Well, Sam, here come the lights, and let's get ready to go racing for the first time this season from Monza, as we are green, and we are away, and everyone getting away relatively cleanly. 2-4 clean lines emerging on the race down to turn 1. Who's going to come out on top? We're going to see a lunge up the inside. Wagner having a little bit of a look over of Darson. Is everyone going to make it through? As they're still side by side through onto the exit, and it's a bit congested in the midfield there, but everyone just about makes it through in an orderly fashion right now. But Edward Pop from the back of the grid, he's already at 4 places, but it's all about this battle for the front, as Wagner is just in front by the length of his nose cone as we head down into turn 3 right now, into the chicane, and bumping across the curves.
That was Schnabel round.
Get the best of exits. Oh no, that's Schnabel, Sam, that's Schnabel. He's off, and he's going to fall right to the back of the field.
And that was all by himself. He was in P3 and he just let the rear end go and completely spun the car around. So absolutely huge mistake. As now we see Brewer, who I think had got to the top of the amateur judges, he now makes a mistake, and that could be big trouble for him to get into the top 10. And now the rest of the judges behind him all trying to get in order. But that is a crucial mistake from Lennart Schnabel. He's going to try to get as far up as he can. I think he might get top 12. It'll be tricky for him to get into those A final. As we've got side by side here, be careful guys, there's going to be contact between these two over the curves as well potentially. They both spin round, and now there's almost a track blockage. We've got 5 cars, I think, involved right there. Hay, Smith, Gandolfi, Rawlinson, I think all Pro-Ams and all the favourites for the Pro-Am Championship as well. So that is a fantastic bit of news for Schnabel there, who regains many of those places which he'd originally lost.
Carnage in the midfield, and what that has meant is our top 2 have really pulled away here at these opening stages. Who come round to complete lap 1. Wagner, Lees and Arvidarsson, they've got over a 4.5 second advantage to this chasing peloton of a pack of 5 cars as everyone spreads out across the track right now, trying to find some space, trying to find a way through as there's a bit of argy-bargy going on in the background there as we head down into turn 1 for the second time. Everyone just trying to keep it clean. They know that they need to remain in that top 10 if they want to progress, but it's at their peril. Do they want to try and climb another place? But I tell you what, Edward Pop, Sam, I said about, would it be beneficial starting from the back of the grid? He started dead last in 19th. He's climbed 11 places up into 8th.
Yeah, crazy stuff right there. That is, yeah, absolutely epic stuff right there from Edward Pop. As we got Boberg just losing a position a little bit further up the road. I think that's to Brian Voss, maybe in a slowdown there for him. Sandstrom's had an issue. Another driver around, dearie me. Alcantech aren't like in that corner so far tonight, because we saw Schnabel have a similar incident early on in the event. So really just a jumbled up field right now, as we've got Al Zugari, who has lost a position to Reeve. However, he's trying to gain it back right now. Lifts out of the thoughts of going into Ascari, and already up to such a close qualifying, we've got a very spread out field.
As things stand at the moment, we have got 3 of the AM drivers who get an automatic qualification to the final. Can they hold on? Well, they've got a fair old while left to go yet. 6.5 minutes left on the clock in Heat 1. Can they progress? That is the big question. But at the moment, only 4 of the pro drivers. But I tell you what, Schnabel is closing in as we see Arroyo here, just hanging in right around the outside and getting squeezed a little bit there. As Brewer just makes his way through. It's, well, definitely some elbows going on outside this top 10 right now, Sam, with drivers desperate to try and regain some of those positions that they've lost early on. As Alistair Hay, he's under pressure. As all there's someone slow on the exit there. I think that was a back marker. There was Rowlinson there. But this is so close between Hay and Brewer. These 2 need to be working together. They shouldn't be fighting with one another, Sam, because they need to get over this top group as, well, they're also having a bit of a scrap with one another there. And the whale of the time as Suarez couldn't get it turned in the time. Bounces across the curbs and he's going to lose, well, the place he's battling for there with Al-Ghazari, and then Vos just nipping through too. So we spoke about this in the build-up, this danger of not playing it safe, not having to worry about getting yourself up even further, because if you're comfortably inside that top 10, you just need to hold on to qualify.
Exactly, yes, and right now Suarez just overdid that one slightly into the second chicane, but managed to get away with it just with a couple of losses of position. As we are currently watching Griffin, he is just behind Pop, who's sort of been caught now by these drivers. He was 0.6 of a second behind us. I think we're going to get a replay of the race starts potentially from the opening lap, and some of the shenanigans that occurred.
What happened in the first lap, the big shunt through Ascari. All got so messy, and then they were coming through. Full chat, Sam, left room to go.
And it was just a low percentage move, wasn't it? Because we saw alongside heading into Ascari. I mean, that's never going to work, is it? It's such a narrow corner, and so that was just not a wise thing to do going on lap 1, but neither driver wanted to give up. As we have Griffin, he is going he's just behind Charney and Pop. Charney ahead of Pop and top of the AM drivers.
But look who's behind him, it's Schnabel, and he is sniffing, he can sense, he can almost touch a place inside that top 10 right now. There's Horvath trying to make a bit of progress against Sandstrom, who's again trying to recover himself too. But I think Schnabel's just managed to get himself to the top side of the top 10, getting past Griffin finally. And Schnabel, after looking down and out, being down to last place, on the opening lap, Sam, he's hauled himself back up into contention, and right now he's holding on to one of, albeit the last, of those automatic qualification spots, and well, he's looking to try and nab another one and get past the Force International Racing Team driver and his fellow countryman Edward Pop.
Yeah, and I think he will do that. It's just a matter of time. Pop realises that Schnabel's very quick. Both these drivers have taken part in this championship in the past, and that is Pop staying in there a while, but that's done now. Into a sky chicane, he is ahead, is Schnabel. Pop drops down into 10th position, and now that coveted position is fought between Pop, Griffin, and Hay, who is catching up to these drivers. Hay on that last lap gained by 1.5 seconds on the couple of drivers ahead of him. He will be on them by the end of the race. And even Pua might be able to pick up the pieces if there's a big fight between the lot of them.
Pop just running it a bit wide there, and this could lose him that place inside the top 10, because here comes Griffin, the fellow AM driver, and he's all over the back of him, and he's tucked right up into the slipstream. The race down to turn 1 is fully on right now. So right on board with Michael Griffin. Well, he's not going to get past Sam. There's not enough gears left in that car. You can hear him bouncing off the rev limiter ferociously, where he just couldn't go any faster. He completely and utterly maxed out. His next best opportunity is going to come down into turn 3 as we head around the curve of Grande right now. He's looking, he's trying to size him up, but he needs to be closer than if he wants to make a lunge, and time is fast running out because we've got 2 minutes and 10 seconds left on the clock here in the first heat at Monza, and Pop just needs to hold on that little bit longer, but all while these two try and cover one another off. Alistair Hay is catching, he is catching a rapid race to Nos, just into the first of the Lesmos there. He covered practically 4/10. That's the margin he managed to take out of Pop and Griffin in front of him. And Griffin knows that Hay is coming as he pulls out of the slipstream. As they head underneath the oval, under the bridge, and he has to suck in once again. Pop has got it covered off, but they're going to be compromised into Ascari. Here comes Hay. He's going to get the run on the pair of them. What sort of exit is he going to get? Are we going to go 3 wide? Or the run down to Parabolica is going to be tight here. It's just going to be side by side, but Hay's on the inside there. He's going to at least pick off Griffin, surely, or is he going to wait? I think so. He's just going to wait here and then just pick up the exit and the slipstream. And Edward Pop could lose 2 places because Griffin's already pulled alongside him.
And I think Griffin's made a mistake with the setup, because look at that rear wing. It's 3 times the thickness of all the other rear wings. So it's as though he's got a baseline setup on, because he's maxing out on the rev limiter. He's got nothing down the straights. Even in the draft he's losing time. So a huge mistake there from Griffin. It must have been a mistake, or maybe he just doesn't have a proper setup, and that has dropped him a position there to Hay that was easy for Hay. He knew that he just had to stay in range, and the moment that they got onto a straight, he would be straight past. So something going on there for Griffin. Hopefully he manages to address that come the B final that he's going to be in at this rate. And now it's just a case of whether Pop can keep ahead of Hay. We've also got this battle, Suarez staying ahead of Voss. Voss with good pace actually. Started a little bit low down in 13th position, but he's, well, he lost half a second on that last lap to be fair, did Voss. And yeah, Suarez I think actually moving his way past, I think maybe at the start of this one. So looking good for him, but yeah, the tightest battle I think going on for that 10th position right now.
So we are out of time. As soon as the drivers take the checkered flag, that is it, done and dusted, as Hay knows that for a fact. As we run down to Ascari, Pop says, no, you don't. I'm going to cover you off on the inside. Hay needs to be bold and brave right around the outside of the entrance into Ascari. They almost bang wheels, but somehow Hay emerges out the other side, and he is in front of Darson. He's going to take the first victory of the season. Wagner in second. Reeve is going to pick up third, surely, with that gap, but it's all about this battle to get inside the top 10. Sandstrom just pipping past Pop as well, as Hay now under threat as to being the aggressor, the attacker for so long. Can Sandstrom nick it off him at the depth? There's only a short run to the line here, and Hay is going to hold on. He picks up 10th, and that last crucial automatic qualification place. But Charney, the AM driver, makes it through in 9th, the only AM driver, and he's done it, Sam, in spectacular fashion. He hasn't scraped in 10th. He's in 9th.
Yeah, that was a great effort there from Charney. He managed to get through, I think, the chaos fairly cleanly, didn't he? but then it was his pace. I mean, we saw a couple of drivers in that amateur category struggle with pace. He had the pace to stay up there, as we are already grinning up then for Heat 2 of this evening. Martinson up on pole position. He's joined by his teammate Tobias Olsen, two-time defending champion, remember. Then it's Rosenkrantz, Rasmussen in 4th place. That's a fantastic top 4. Glamsetzer, top of the Pro-Ams. Then it's Raman Pero in his first ARL event. Justin Negretti, former AM champion. Kevin Zwemstra with a bit of catching up to do. Expect him to be higher than 8th position. Then it's Alex Lado, Fabio Grosseto, could see him in the F3s now. Then it's Cole McLean, who's top of the AMs. Then it's Schmidt, Grant, Philip Russell, who won the F4 AM Championship. Sarah Molfatova, the Pro AM winner in the F4 Championship. Maro, Dorian Arroyo, Sebastian Gravland, and Graham Coleman round out the 19 drivers.
Wow. Here come the lights, and let's get ready to go racing yet again from Monza as we're green and we are away here. And already Olsen getting a brilliant start, just nipping past his teammate Martinson on the run down to turn 1, and they're going to get hold of this comfortably. And Martinson needs to be careful now as everyone filters through. Bit of a lock-up in the midfield, but I think, like the first race, Sam, we're all going to make it through here relatively safe and sound. So we head down on the run down to turn 3 and 4, Secunda Viriante. And this midfield, as tight as you like. You can throw the perennial blanket over right now. There's Negret battling hard right in the middle of them, makes his way through, and there's nearly contact. There's a concertina effect, but I don't know how they've done it, Sam, but they've all made it through, where the first heat didn't.
Tim's got his hands on his head. I'm shaking my head. I don't know how that was possible, honestly. That was absolute chaos going into the second chicane. And lots of contact was made, and yet no one rotated more than about 20 degrees. Now we got a car off the circuit. That's Justin Negretti. Did he hit the wall? I think he avoided.
Yes.
It seems clean, does that car, but he's sent to the back down to 18th position. Graham Coleman didn't take the start, but I'm seeing him at least out on circuit, maybe? I'm not quite sure. We'll see if Coleman takes part in this race or not. But Olsen, of course, getting ahead of his teammate. That could have been sort of orchestrated, or maybe not deliberate, but generous, shall we say. But Rosenkrantz now is moving up a position, as we've got McLean off in the back, and he was top of the amateur jazz. Wow, that definitely hit the wall.
That is a big shunt. Hey, hold on, he's driving the wrong way. I thought he just lost his front nose cone there. That completely and utterly confused me there.
Did he not hit the
driving
wall?
backwards down the circuit, just letting it roll, and he gets going once again. And Cole McLean, after a cracking start, now falls down to the back of the field and well off the pace as Olsen, new fastest lap of the race. Yes, wow. I'll tell you what, Luedo, he has got his work cut out right now to try and find his way past. He is comfortably inside that top 10, but all it takes is one little incident and Grosseto, Schmidt, they'll be all over him, and then Philip Russell, who's currently lying in 11th in the first place outside these automatic qualifiers. He'll be looming large. He'll take it off it, but he's got pedigree. We saw him in the F4 series, didn't he? And so quick with it, that completely dominated the amateur category.
Yeah, and he was mainly just consistent as well as us, so that was where his strength lay. Just seemingly was just getting into the A final every single week, so he's very consistent, avoids the crashes, whilst not necessarily being the fastest driver out on circuit. Rosenkrantz, by the way, just consolidating that move on Martinson. He did actually make that on the start of this lap, so Rosenkrantz now into P2. However, they're so close to one another, I think that's going to be a race-on battle. It does mean that Olsen has got quite a comfortable lead now out in the lead of this race. Schmidt and Russell, the two teammates. Good to see Russell having a teammate out there on circuit, but currently it's the new driver, Schmidt, who is occupying that advancing spot. We'll see how that progresses. Mario currently at the back of this 4-car pack. He's got Groveland just in front. Groveland, new driver to the stage, good iRacing. A little bit surprised to see him down in 14th place.
I said it earlier, Sam. They're all scrapping over. Militova, Grant, Groveland, Mauro having a real go here. These guys need to work together and play the slipstream to their advantage to catch up to the pack ahead, because all this fighting between them is just increasing the gap between themselves and Philip Russell, and certainly to Schmidt, who's in that last 10th place, the last of the automatic qualifiers. You want to be up there, surely. fighting with them, and just regardless of whether you're in their team or not, just working together with everyone around you.
Yeah, I think so. As I think we might get a replay of the race start actually, with Molfatova potentially, as we see her running down into turn 1. That was a bit of 3 wide, I think about 3 rows back from the front, and I think maybe a lock-up as well. See if there's any smoke, a little bit of smoke to it there, and Molfatova just very sort of generous. Good driving right there, a little bit of contact perhaps going through the first chicane, but they got through cleanly, and Molfatova not gaining too much off that start, but at least it kept it front.
That was incredibly lucky from her, wasn't it? You know, it could have gone so wrong. Great skill to avoid that one. Just settling down, or so it seems a little bit right now, Sam. These guys seem to be playing a little bit more safe compared to the first heats in terms of, you know, these guys are certainly the top 10 just remaining as they are. No one pushing each other too hard. No one making any silly overtakes. See, Martinson there is, I mean, credit where credit's due. You always know the sign of a good driver based on how little you've mentioned them. And Tobias Olsen, since he took the lead on the run down to turn 1 off the start, we have not mentioned him, and he's now nearly 2 seconds clear of his teammate. It's been a scintillating performance so far.
It really has been. Let's see if Rosenkrantz can get that move done on Rasmussen. Oh, spun round there was Rasmussen. Makes contact with Rosenkrantz, who will surely have significant damage. That seemed to be into the top, into the front right corner there. So that must be damage, I can only imagine. Rasmussen round, and I think that was him going for the inside line. They were alongside for plenty of time before that. They must have just locked the rears under braking, which is unusual to see a mistake like that from this level of driving. And yeah, the two of them made contact. Look at that switchback move there. I thought that Rampino was going to be overtaken by Grosseto, but these guys move up a few places, and yeah, big problems for a couple of our top pros as they're still not backing down. Potential contact between the two of them through the first Lesme, and that is Grosseto finally up ahead of the Norwegian.
Now look at Rasmussen. He is all over the back of them, looking to try and pick up another place right now. As Rampino, well, is under a lot of pressure. Look at all 3 of them going to that inside line before they switch out onto the racing line, as we're going to go 2 by 2. No, just backing out as Rampino behind Grosseto into Ascari. But I tell you what, Grosseto is going to be a compromise on that much shallower line compared to his fellow competitors behind him. As Rampino, look at this move onto the inside. And I tell you what, Rasmussen says, thank you very much, I'll follow you through, I'll take the place off yourself there, Grosseto. And Grosseto in the space of, well, the entry to 1 corner, Sam, he's lost 2 places, but he is going to be in the slipstream of Rasmussen all the way down the start-finish straight, and he could return and get in place back off Rasmussen on the entry to turn 1 if he's good enough on the brakes.
And this is exactly what we were talking about with Monza. It's not necessarily how quick you are, but it's about your tactical driving, about your driving skills in close combat. And right there, seemingly Rampino was the one with the best. So I think we might get a replay of the Rasmussen incident then, heading down the front straight. So this is what happened a few laps ago. And you can see he was already alongside going into coming out of Parabolica, all the way down the start-finish straight. And I think it was under braking that he lost the rear end of the car and forced him to make contact with Rosenkrantz.
Edge of the wing. Well, there you go. You called it, Sam. Lost the rears, locked them up. Braking. And that's what sent him spinning. And Rasmussen. You've got to wait with that one. You're still inside the automatic qualification spots, but it could have gone so much more worse. We hear another car, Sam. Well, aside of it just being looked at by the stewards, could have made his route to the final, and a potential victory here today overall at Monza so much more challenging. Grosseto just settled down. He's not tried to get the places back that he lost on the previous lap, as Molotova has made a way past Russell. That is a crucial move because Russell was in 10th right about half a lap ago, and Molotova just quietly, another driver quietly going about her business. And these 2 Pro-Ams scrapping it out right now. Half a second separating them, but Luedo, who's trying to recover himself, he's fallen right down through. He needs to clear these guys as quick as possible because the time is running out. We've got 1 minute left on the clock, and this is the last lap, Sam.
Yeah, Lado only started in P9, so he was one of the bottom kind of pro drives to start off with anyway. But he's seemingly getting faster. 43.85 that last time out, so he was nearly a second faster than Molfatova. I think he will just about have enough time. Well, he'll have a Scari and the Parabolica, and maybe the run out of Parabolica, and that'll be it. Rasmussen up ahead of Ramampero there. That was a good move, quite an important one. Now Grosseto, who's been very aggressive so far tonight, is going to be aggressive again. Into the Lesmo, he looks to the inside. That was a little bit more passive. Birdie's got the inside for Lesmo too. This will cost them so much time, I imagine. And it's Grosseto, though, who makes the move. He will not care about losing a few tenths. It was Ramampero who lost much more time. And Ramampero down to 8th position, albeit still a fantastic debut race against a strong field, as this is not over for the top 10 places. We've got Molfatova versus Schmidt versus Lado.
Molfatova, I'll tell you what, needs to defend quite a bit against Lado. It needed to be bold and brave and ambitious, and he's managed to do it. He sat in 12th. Coming into the start of this final lap, he needed to clear Russell and Molotova, and he's done it on the exit out of Ascari. But Molotova says, no, you don't have it quite that easy. Pulls back alongside Luedo. The Spaniard needs to defend this inside line. Molotova, the hard way to do, right around the outside. And there's a bit of tyre smoke, but she's going to have a better run. But what can Russell do? Can he pick up a bit of slipstream? We're going to have a race in line. Who's going to pick up 10th? And it's, wow. We've had a driver drop out, haven't we? Because all of a sudden, they've both led Luedo and Molotova 9th and 10th.
Oh no! Ramampero must have crashed on the last corner. Dearie me! We were watching that all the way, and all of a sudden it was Molfatova who clearly was behind and yet was still in 10th position. Russell does miss out and will take second position for the reverse grid, but that was quite a dramatic change right there. We might be able to get a quick replay of it potentially just as we come to the end of this race, but yeah, that was a really dramatic race too there, Tim. I think high driving stands, particularly from the front runners, clean racing on the most parts, and yeah, we've still got a few kind of absentees from that A final as we are starting the gridding process now for the B final.
We are indeed, Sam, and Sandstrom's going to start on pole with Russell alongside Edward. Pop, wow, had a great heat one. Can he carry that form over into the B final? He starts alongside Gravlin in the second row of the grid. Michael Griffin has a lucky Ramabario alongside on the fairway with Brewer and Grant making an All-American fourth row. Hovarth and Darian Arroyo round out your top 10 with Gandolfi and Chuck Morrow taking him to 12th place. Then on the 7th row of the grid, it is Jose Arroyo joined by Cole McLean. Daniel Rolson has Justin Negret, one of the pro drivers to miss out on getting to the final. What can he do? Aaron Smith and Graham Coleman rounding out your 18-car grid, the last complete row, row 9. Who is going to advance into the final? Let's find out as we are green and we are away in the B final, and not the best of starts in the background there. I think that was from Coleman, and Gandolfi electing to start from the pits. That's an interesting bold strategy, trying to avoid this turn 1 chaos. If we haven't seen any tonight, is everyone going to make it through Prima Variante? And I think they're going to do this, Sam. It's a bit tight, but they just about manage it. And Gandolfi, the gamble has not worked for him, but Edward Pop, he's lost a lot of time. He's dropped 13 places on this opening lap. I'm not even sure how he's managed to do that. I mean, it didn't look like a bad start for him at all.
Well, I think Pop started from the pit lane as well. Whoa, that's Gravland across the track. That'll be a slowdown and a big slowdown. That'll be outside the top 10, I think, for Gravland, because it's a huge slowdown that anyone knows who's driven on iRacing and suffered that penalty on lap 1 of a race. So there is Pop. Yeah, started from the pit lane.
Oh, Sam, there's chaos.
Oh, dear.
Oh, there's been contact. 2, 3, 4 cars all around. Wow, Arroyo, one of those. Oh, Justin Negret, the pro driver, Sam. This is going to be the big story coming out. He's jumped straight to the pits. Too much damage to carry on. That is him done and dusted.
Yep, so that is a whenever a pro driver doesn't get through, imagine it being like a Merc Red Bull or Ferrari not getting through Q1 in F1. It's sort of that similarity, as we've got Gravland round now. And, oh, that's a super close to Pop. He's managed to make his way back up into 11th position. And Gravland with a lot of catching up to do. Remember, it's the top 4 who get through from this race. So it's currently Sandstrom, Ramamperi, who's had a good start actually up 4 places. Wasn't off the line necessarily, but I think gained a few places midway through that lap. Sandstrom absolutely miles ahead. This should be an easy race win from him from here on in. Paliku, Grant up there in 3rd position. Then it's Russell. Then it's Brewer, but Brewer very close with Horvath and Griffin. Horvath and Griffin, certainly Horvath was quick in qualifying. I'm curious to see also, does Griffin have a proper setup now? Because last time he had more rear wing than everyone else combined. Let's see if he's actually got taken off some of that drag in this race, because it was killing him last time. He's still got a rear wing, Tim. He needs to get that thing off.
I mean, it's going to be incredibly quick around the mid part of the lap, but anywhere else, he's getting completely destroyed. I mean, you can see the contrast. Aaron Smith, his rear wing is wafer thin. It is flat as a tabletop. And then you look ahead at Griffin's, and, well, it looks like a ski slope. It's that steep in comparison, Sam, but even so, nearly loses the rear end there. And, well, you can feel he is being stalked like a lion stalks its prey right now by Aaron Smith, who's right behind, and surely he's going to make the move. As we see Hovarth then, as they're just coming up behind someone, running a bit slow there, covering off the inside. Everyone, as they shoot through Ascari. We've got one long train here, Sam, and everyone vying for position. It's just making their way through there. This is close. We're too wide. Two lots of too wide. In fact, on the run down to Parabolica, who's going to come out on top as the 42 of Aaron Smith swoops around the outside up into 6th. He's up 11 already. A brilliant start, exactly what he needed. We've got 10.5 minutes left of racing, but still a lot can change in that time. Just like it's going to change surely here, as weaving around is the, well, Michael Griffin. What can he do right now? Really, really struggling. And, well, that's not exactly happening as he loses more places. I mean, he was battling with Smith at one stage.
Yeah, and Smith up now 11 places from his race start. It looked like his chances of getting through were very small. It's very close though. Sandstrom's gone, but everyone else is very close to one another. So Ramampiro is super close to Grant right now, as we get a replay of what happened to Smith actually off the race start. Of course, he was involved in that big crash at Ascari in his heat, and he's been involved in, I think, in another lap 1 incident. The chaos going up in front of him, but Smith doing a brilliant job at avoiding it all, and that's how he gained, well, at least 3 of those 11 places.
Wow, how did Smith managed to find his way through there? He just had to slalom and sieve his way through. But I tell you what, talking about slalom and siving right now, this is Grant trying to make some progress. Russell, he's got the best seat in the house right now. There's Grant and Trapario all over one another, but Russell wanting a piece of the pie. He wants a piece of the action. And is he going to make a lunge into Parabolica here? No, he elects just to tuck back into the slipstream. Doesn't want to play it too crazy. Wants to try and keep it safe. Be cautious, conscientious, the position he's in. As Sam said earlier, these top 4, they qualify automatically for the final. There's last places up for grabs. As they say, I know, to quote Talladega United, Sam, if you end first, you're last. But right now, if you end 4th, then you're out.
Yes, yeah, as long as you're 4th, it's all good. But here comes Russell. He is going to go the long way, and that's done. Good work. Ramampiro cautious on the brakes, and I think Russell realised Smith was on his way, and they had to make that move quite quick. Ramampiro, of course, had that brilliant race start, and you've got to be thinking, Ramampiro made that contact at the, as I think Ramampiro's going to come straight back. Russell's another one with a very big wing, isn't he? So it's interesting that he's got a big wing. I'm trying to look out for his teammate, because his teammate managed to get through their heats, didn't they? So we can't quite compare, but Russell's, yeah, really is sitting duck as well, so he's going to struggle to get through this race. And yeah, I do question why some of these drivers have these thick wings, because of course they've got a free subscription to Apex Racing Academy offered to all the drivers in this series. So yeah, I'm surprised that they haven't taken up one of them in the group coaching sessions and maybe gone a bit faster down these straights.
alternative strategy maybe in terms of setup to try and play it safe? I don't know, Sam. It's a tricky one, but Smith is closing in on the pack of these two, and he's going to be there come the end, the start finish straight, but always an unnerving side when you've got a driver who's just blinking in and out. Wow, Rampario and Russell side by side in a parabolica, and Russell, wow, full chat right round the outside. Rampario, well, it always felt like he bowled it a bit there, Sam. Just slowed up dramatically, and this is going to cost him on the exit, because here comes Smith. He's got the momentum with him, and he says, see you later, and he heads straight past, but Rampario is going to tuck up right behind Russell. We're going to go 3 wide on the run down to turn 1. Hold tight, everyone. Here we go. How's this going to shake out? And wow, they somehow make it through here, but they are as close as you like, Sam. And Russell's gone from what was a really, really safe position, it looked like, to now he's at the back of this train again.
Yeah, it was looking really good for him, but yeah, just caught so much down that stretch because he had that brilliant run through Parabolica, and now he's moved to the back of it as Rampario. Ooh, Russell's just ahead, and this is where he can now start to pull away, because these next couple of corners is where Russell really comes into his own. And ooh, big slide there, got onto the grass to Rampario. Russell a little bit wide as well, so he wasn't quite able to pull out as much as he wanted to, but through the second Lesmo will pull out a couple more tenths, and he'll feel much more confident about his chances. Brewer not really doing too much in the background there. His lap times are all right, but I don't think they're necessarily on par with the likes of Grant and Smith and Russell up in those advancing spots, so that could be it for our top 4, as Mara, Griffin and Horvath are very close to one another. You'll just see them coming through in the background, I think, through Ascari. That is the battle right now for 7th, 8th and 9th.
Got a feel for Rampario, because he was looking incredibly racy, Sam, and look, I would have put money on him making it through, but it's not working out for him right now. And he's really, really struggling. That is another place gone as Brewer makes his way past him up into 5th, and Rampario, he's heading into the pits, Sam. It doesn't look like he was carrying any damage. That's a bit of a strange one. Has he only left enough fuel in to get himself to the end of the previous race, which was shorter?
It is a possibility. We've also got an instant limit as well for the drivers, but I'm not seeing anything come up at the moment on that front. I'm not seeing anyone with 12, so I think that should be clear for those drivers. Yes, to confirm, the highest we've got is 10, and that is for Grafson right now out on circuit. So yeah, should be all right on that front for the majority of the drivers. So yeah, must have been, I think you're right, probably fuel, where he's just not put enough fuel into the car, and that is why he has had to take a few extra liters.
I'm guessing again, Sam, maybe a bit of fuel saving while he started losing some of those places. But wow, I tell you what, 2 drivers who will be, well, in their heads, rubbing their hands will be Smith and Russell, because that's made their position very, very comfortable. What can Brewer find out? We're on to the final lap here in the B final, and Brewer needs some sort of a miracle intervention right now. If he is to get through to the final, I just don't see it happening, Sam. Surely there's no way for him. I mean, he's 1.1 seconds behind Russell right now.
Yeah, it's well, let's see what the sector times are like on this time. Brewer half a second faster through sector 1, a couple of tenths slower through sector 2, and about a tenth of a second faster through sector 3, sector 4, a couple of tenths slower, and then sector 5, which they are now just crossing. I think Brewer was actually lost a little bit of time right there. So across the lap, pretty much even between the two of them, between 4th and 5th place. Oh, that was wide though for Russell. That's going to lose a lot of time. Heck, this could be a move right here, because the straight line advantage should be for Brewer. We could have a change for 4th position in just a moment.
So I'm just getting word that apparently Rampario's had a big shunt out on track, and he is now out and had to retire the car. So that is absolutely gutting for the Norwegian. But Brewer, well, it didn't feel like he was going to make his way through, Sam. But he's done it. I tell you what, that is a great move over Russell. And now Russell, with his work cut out, And the AM driver catching and then passing the Pro-Am driver. Well, we love a underdog story here, Apex Racing TV, and if there ever was one, that is one of them there for you.
Yes, it absolutely is, yeah, Russell's a very established driver, so yeah, that's particularly impressive, albeit he is not giving up quite yet. Then you've got Griffin, of course, behind, and Maro as well, just lining up. Top 3 now sprinting away. Smith's a really good pace. Smith might catch up to Grant. Now that doesn't count for points. So if you get into the A final, then you don't score points for your B final. So that doesn't really matter, but it is a position on the grid. Of course, Grant versus Smith would be P22 versus P23. Look at the run there for Russell. What's that contact there, you think, Tim?
I'm not sure, Sam, but I'll tell you one thing for definite. Russell has ran wide, lost all the time and all the momentum. Brewer, well, now it is advantage to him. 1.3 seconds is the gap between himself and Russell, and Griffin is catching, and well, Maro's there too. There's having a little look up into turn 1 against one another, and they nearly make contact there. That is as close as you like. Check Maro. Wow, I'll tell you what, it's close as we get a replay of what's happened to Philip Russell right now. Let's take a little look at this and see what's happened. So was it contact like you thought, Sam? Was he just running in a bit too deep? And oh, there was contact. Well spotted, Sam. And what sort of damage has got to that rear wing? Because that front right corner looks a bit scuffed up to me.
Yeah, it looks very damaged, does that front right corner. And he wasn't exactly quick down the straights in the first place, was he? And anyone new to iRacing, that will probably affect him more down the straights than it will do through the corners. So that could be quite costly for Russell, albeit it doesn't look so bad now. Now watching, yeah, on his onboard now, it doesn't seem quite so poor. So I don't know, maybe it's fixed itself, maybe it wasn't a big problem in the first place. And his pace is good. He's half a second behind. He'll get a little bit through Ascari, but the time is running out. We are going to have one more lap. We're just going to edge one more lap in because Sandstrom is approaching the line right now. It will force another one with about 8 seconds to spare in this B final. And so another opportunity for Russell to get through. And Brewer, I think, would be only the second AM driver to get through into the A final, I think, just for Charney. So this is how big it is. This would be a fantastic start for Brewer's championship charge if he could consolidate this result.
Can he hold on? He has 1 lap left to go. And Russell has 1 lap's worth of opportunities to find his way past the American and squeeze him out of that top 4. And Brewer runs it a bit deep. Can it be a success story for the AM driver, as Sam just said? One of 2 AM drivers to make it through to the final with Charney. Can he do it? Can he hold on long enough as Smith has just got past Grant up ahead? That's at 15 places into second. That's a great move. He's drifting wide there. Secunda Variante, great stuff from him. But he's looking at the background as Brewer's wide. There's contact. Russell's off. Brewer's gone spinning. There's another spinner in the background too. I couldn't quite catch who that was.
Horvath, there was, I think, who was the other spin, I think, in a different battle. And Griffin looks like he's going to get through.
Sam, you slated the angle on his rear wing, but when everyone could not keep it together, could not stay on the track and make contact with one another, Michael Griffin, the AM driver in the 386 F3, managed to make his way through. And wow, what a rags to riches sale. He looked like he was down and out. He was not making it through. And then it all erupts. But Sandstrom is going to take the victory. 9 seconds the advantage over hard-charging Aaron Smith. Who, wow, what a recovery from him. Up 15 places, starting in 17th. Penultimate place on the grid. And into second.
What's happened to Grant? He's just lost his front tyre. He'll beat Maro. I mean,
what is going on here, Sam?
It's so similar to Heat 2 when we just saw Ramampire just exit the final corner with a corner missing, and now we've had Grant as well. So craziness right there. But they still got through. As we've got a replay of what happened then to Russell. So this was the battle for 4th position. Now who was it? So Russell, Oh, Russell was unlucky, wasn't it? Because it was the car ahead who lost it, then opened up the corner. And then, of course, the Brewer lost control of the car, went into the middle of the circuit. Russell wasn't able to avoid, and then, of course, we had the separate incident for Horvath, who I think may have been the first beneficiary of that, but he wasn't able to take it because, he had his own issues.
What a crazy final lap, Sam. That was... Well, I'm still trying to process in my head. Griffin looks like he's no chance of making it through. Then ends up finishing on the podium within the B final.
Yes, it's absolutely crazy, and it just shows how quickly things can change as we are currently lining up a replay of what happened to Grant in terms of what happened to him at the end of that race. And that's got to be one of the shots of the season. I think it's very early on, but I think we may remember this one for a while. Just Jarro exiting the final corner without a front corner, as we should be able to go live or go with the replay, sorry, of Grant's incident, and it was all by himself. He just lost the position to Smith. Not a whole lot wrong there, I think, Tim. He didn't take too much of the sausage.
Yeah, I spotted the same, Sam. He caught the sausage curl on the inside, and it just seemed to unsettle the car. It was enough. I mean, he's got 3 wheels on his wagon there, Sam.
Right, and he's got, of all the corners that you want on the car, it's probably that one that he's missing because he can't turn right there. But he just about made it. Mauro must have been kicking himself. Mauro must have been thinking, come on, mate. If I just had 2 more seconds, he's chasing him down another 100 metres. Well, no, another 500 metres. He may have had him.
I tell you what, Grant's saving grace here was the fact that the finish line is pretty much in line with the start of the pit wall. That is what saved Grant and allowed him to get through. Otherwise, he would have been a whole world of pain, and he wouldn't have made it through. What was it? A silly mistake at the end of the day. It was, wow. It was absolutely crazy. Let's take a little bit of a look at the results, though, from the consolation, the B final. Sandstrom, he confirmed winner, 9 seconds in the end, clear of the field. Smith, what a recovery from him in the end. Side 17th, finished second. Griffin picks up third. Look at that, a pro driver, a Pro-Am driver and an Am driver making up your top 3. Grant, as we've just seen, so lucky, held on the end to get 4th despite only having 3 wheels in his wagon. Chuck Morrow couldn't quite make it through. It was close, but not close enough. Gravland 6th, then Pop, Jose Ruo, McLean, Darian Arroyo rounding out your top 10. Then Brewer finishes 11th in the end, a lap down. Likewise, Russell, Horvath, Rowlinson, Ramapalio. Got a feel for him. Justin Legret, the pro driver, does not make it through and retires the car. Big stories coming out of Monza, Sam.
Yeah, a lot of changes, and you're right about Ramapalio because that he'd done it, hadn't he? In the heat. I mean, he was 3. And then he had that contact on the final corner of the race when trying to stay in, I think, 8th position. And that was enough for it. But here is our big event. This is what the judges all want to get into. It is the A final, and it is Isaac Arvidsson up on pole position alongside his teammate Tobias Olsson, Connor Wagner up there in 3rd. Then it's Martinsson, another Sim Racing Sweden driver. That could be important to have so many teammates up at the front. Top of the Pro-Ams is Jack Reeve. 2nd in the Pro-Ams is Christian Glamsetter. Then it's Hosu Alzugare, Chris Rosenkrantz, Pedro Suarez, Kevin Zwemstra, Brian Vos, Nicholas Rasmussen, watch out for him from 12th place. Then it's Boberg, Gussetto, Schnabel, watch out for him, he'll be storming through the order. Schmidt, Charnier at top of the AMS, Lado, Hay, Molfatova, Sandstrom, Smith, Griffin and Grant, rounding out the 24.
A pack grid of 24 F3s. Here come the lights, and we are away racing. Who's going to take the first victory of the season? There's a poor start in the midfield there. I think, was that even Grant? One of the 12's not getting away too well. That was, yeah, you're right there, Sammy. It was Brian Vos. He's falling through the order like a stone right now. But Olsen has got past his teammate Arvidarsson into first, and Sim Race Sweden Esports occupy those top 3 places. They've shuffled around a little bit, Glamsetter, he's up to Wagner. A poor start from him so far. Zemstra, you can see him coming through the field. The Alcantech driver already up 2 places. He could even make this a third by the third corner. Can he do it? Work it out though. Round the outside, and he's going to get this done surely, Sam, on the run down to Lesmo. Zemstra, what a start from him, and what a move to take 7th.
I think some sort of slowdown, I think, for Martinson. Yeah, look, he's having to grind to a halt because he cut the chicane, rejoined, and that's a huge slowdown. So Martinson, you had a chance at the race win, and the second highest I-rated driver, I think, in the entire field. He is down to 16th place from 4th on the grid, and that is going to harm Sim Racing Sweden, albeit they can't complain too much. They are currently 1-2, and with a healthy gap as well over Wagner behind. So great start for those couple of drivers. And now we've got Martinson round again. What an awful start to the race. He's hit the rear as well. He will need repairs from that because that has absolutely crushed that rear axle.
Oh, you can see the way on the corner exit there, Sam, is getting incredibly loose. It's just seeing, well, and what was the background there? Down the end of the straight, run into a Scarvery, 2 wides, 3 wides. Take your pick. But here we go, the slipstream train of Monza coming around onto lap 2. Everyone vying for positions, leaving it as late as they dare to pull out and try and get a move, try and climb up a place or two. Bobek, he's already out of 4 in this little pack. We can just see here right now, trying to make it up another one, but Suarez has got alternative ideas, and that's slow off the corner there was Glamsetter. As all, Sam, has he lost a wheel even there potentially? He's going incredibly slow.
Yeah, I think he made contact with Alzugare maybe. I'm not 100% sure, but he made contact with someone down in turn 1 as we got 4 cars battling super close to one another, a little bit cautious on the brakes. I think that was Rasmussen just backing out of that move. Suarez managing to stay ahead of Schnabel, and now it's Lado who fancies like gaining position, and these drivers just holding each other up for a second, drop back massively. Olsen has also just had a bit of an issue on this lap. He's down into 3rd position. I think Olsen was leading the race very early on, but he's just dropped down to 3rd position, so we might get a replay of that one at some point during the race. And now Olsen in fact is down to 4th position, as still this battle with Lado versus Schnabel rages on for P11.
So many battles up and down the field. 2 incredibly hard races, and Schnabel, well, getting shoved out wide there by the Spaniard Lado, who's trying to stay with his teammate Suarez. He's just ahead, but he's dropping back because he's under so much pressure from the German, who pulls out to the outside. But don't discredit Grassetto. He wants a piece of this action too. This 4 practically all on top of one another right now. There's Schnabel trying to find some pace around that outside. Luede taking the shortest possible route around the inside. But here comes Grassetto. He's going to get the run on the pair of them. He's in the slipstream. Are we going to have another 3 wide here at Monza on the run down to turn 1? As Grassetto just elects to sit in behind. But oh, this is close as locking up onto the brakes. That was his, I think that was Molotova, I think, almost making collisions with him as oh no, there's someone around in the background. Who is that one, Sam? Is that Grant?
Yes, it was, and with big damage. Yeah, huge damage for Grant.
Ooh.
I think it was a huge contact. I think it just plucked the rear tyre off. And yeah, I think it was more for Tova. I think actually made a little bit of contact, not necessarily with Grant, but with someone else. And just super close were all those drivers for a while, and Schnabel ends up getting that very highly coveted 11th position, up 4 places from his race up, but lost a bunch of time to the drivers ahead of him. As we tune in with Olsen, who's just managed to get back past Jack Reeve. So I think Olsen got a slowdown earlier on in the race, I think on lap 2, and that's why he's so far back. However, this is an 18-minute race, and Tobias Olsen is the 2-time defending champion in this series. If anyone is going to make up 3 seconds and take this race win, it's going to be the car number 1.
It is a long old season, Sam, but I mean, the way we want to do is you want to get off to a winning victory. Just going to see a replay right now of exactly what happened to Martinson earlier on. Sam, he was in such a commanding position, and it just all fell apart for him, didn't it?
That's a bit. I mean, that's cold tyres clearly, because he feels like he's broken at a decent point there. He hasn't been particularly scared about where he's going to hit and knock the tyres. He sort of just turned in, and it's not really done a whole lot, has that car. But that's a sinking feeling when you've made that mistake, because you know that's your race gone. It's not at that point that you realise it. It's when you cut the corner, because he knows the slowdown that he's going to get when he has to bail out there, and did a good job to be fair at avoiding that one. Didn't come all the way to a halt and dropped down to 16th position right there.
Sam, something's happened to Wado. He's fallen through the order. He was battling with Schnabel, and he's losing position after position right now. I think he must have come off track somewhere. I mean, he was battling hard with Schnabel, and Grosseto managed to pick up a couple of places in amongst that, but fights up and down the field. Olsen under a lot of pressure right now from Rosenkrantz, who also has, well, the Pro-Am driver, Jack Reeve. He's up into 5th. He's having an amazing race right now, because second in class in Pro-Am right now is Boberg, and here he is. He's down in 9th. I mean, he's having a cracking race as well. He's at 4 places. So it's Rasmussen at the front of this 3-car train. Suarez is desperate to try and nick a place back, but Boberg, he is in full attack mode right now. And now Guajari getting caught up into this fight, into Ascari. They better remain too wide, because 3 into 1 is not going to work. And wow, what a move from Boberg. Picks off Rasmussen and Al Guajari, who's losing so much time right now, Sam.
Epic from Boberg. He had a miserable F4 season, and yet when it comes to the F3s, he's an absolute menace. Alzugari, has he got a problem? I'm surprised Rasmussen lost out in that one as well. I wonder if they both got damaged. I know someone made contact with Molfatova earlier on, but then that was further back, of course, wasn't it? So I'm not 100% sure, but you can see the way that Chinese just absolutely sprinting away from these drivers, all of them running fairly low drag, at least indicated by their rear wings, as we've got 3 wide, and who is going to come out on top of this one. This is when you really don't want to be the outside driver, because you know that you are putting all your hopes and dreams in the 2 cars on your inside. Fortunately, he backed out of that one, and it's Alzugari still at the front of this one. Rasmussen continues to drop down the order. I think that's 3 places he's lost in about 3 corners.
It is something. It's just going from bad to worse for him right now. Boberg, an absolute fly. He's checked out at the front of these guys that he was battling. He said, see you later. He's cleared off into the distance and left Alguajari, Suarez and Rasmussen all squabbling with Ryan with one another. And Lennart Schnabel, he's not too far behind either. Look, vying for a place inside that top 10. Wow, it's hard to know where to look. So many close battles out on track. Last time around, Conor Wagner, fastest lap of the race. It's a long way to go. Just under 10 minutes left in the final. Still lots of opportunities, Sam, to try and make some advances. Arvidarsson leads from Wagner. Olsen currently in the podium positions. Rosenkrantz 4th with Reeve, Zemstra, Boberg, Alshari, Suarez and Rasmussen in top 10. Jack Reeve, he leads Pro-Am. And well, the 2 AM drivers, Charlie and Michael Griffin, currently lined 18th and 19th overall. Credit where credit's due to get into the final, but they're not moseying around at the back. They're in, respectable positions. I'll tell you what, Luedo, he's fallen even more places. He's down to 15th. He was up fighting ahead of these guys not that long ago.
Yeah. It's so many competitive drivers are far down the order right now, just because they've had sort of their own little issues, whether that be on lap 1, or whether that be sorts of slowdowns later on in the race, or just a bit of contact, or maybe sustained damage, as Lado loses out to Schmidt there. Schmidt's missed the corner. Lado's very wide, so they're both extremely slow, and this just appends to this battle. Well, Schmidt seemingly lost a lot more time than I initially thought there. The slowdown's still very costly even at this later point in the race. As Grant, we should get a replay of what happened to him earlier on in the race, and this was just a little bit of contact, I think, and it plucks the rear corner out of the car. Yeah, it wasn't big, and well, I think that's a bit of netcode contact, honestly. There he is based in the US as Grant, and lost the rear of the car right there.
Well, it wasn't a massive amount of contact, but it was enough just to send him spinning around and break that suspension, which is incredibly strong in one direction, but incredibly weak in another. Clearly just catching the weak direction. Not helping him at all, as we see Hay. Well, Grosseto all over him like a rash. And hey, is falling further and further back from Schnabel in 11th right now. 2.1 seconds is the gap, and this fight with Grosseto is not helping whatsoever. Grosseto, the Italian, wants to find his way past for Scania Motorsports. He's going to be in the slipstream out of Parabolica, but while this has been going on, Wagner's been taking time out of Arvidarsson bit by bit. Last time around, 4 attempts alone, Sam. He's closing, and Wagner's just waiting for that right moment to pounce.
Yeah, this is a proper one-on-one battle now, and I think once he got within that kind of range, then that was when the move was on. I think he's sort of done the hard work, and now that he's as close as he is, an overtake is going to be very possible.
Well,
I think he has just got past Arvidsson, and yes, there he is. He is ahead. So Wagner leads for the first time in this race. Arvidsson in second position, and that is an absolutely huge move there for the race lead in this race, as you see Olsen run wide and back.
Well, it is chopping and changing. Left, right and centre right here in Monza. As the clock ticks down. We have 11.5 minutes complete out of 18. And it is game on for the victory. Wagner is ahead of Arvidarsson, but quarter a second separates them. 2.5 attempts. And Wagner had an absolutely epic sector 1, but he was in the slipstream, and Arvidarsson just pulls out. Bit of a look just to unsettle Wagner, but Wagner, he's no mug. He had it completely covered up. He saw it coming. He said, well, you do whatever you want, Arvidarsson. I'm not bothered in the slightest. And so much so that unsettling the car, Arvidarsson not being able to get on the train as quick as possible, but he's pulled alongside. The race onto turn 1 is down. Who's going to be the last of the breakers? Well, Arvidarsson up the inside, gets the move done. And Wagner trying to find the cutback, but can't get it done. Arvidarsson retakes the lead, Sam.
Oh, by the way, it's just 4 wide, by the way, for
wow.
I'm just seeing. So it's just absolutely highlighted red on our screen. And I was curious to see what was going on that one. As still, we might have another move. Wagner's going to go for it again. Arvidsson can't cover that one off. Arvidsson round the outside. He wants to hold on to this one as long as possible. And he's off. And it's going to be a 1-2 for Sim Race Sweden. And that has worked out perfectly for the teammates. Arvidsson did not give up. And it's such a narrow chicane there. One of them was going to have to either go over the curb or over the gravel. And if you're like these guys, who somehow managed to make it through 2 wide, they might even go to Lesbo 3 wide. Super slow coming out of the chicane, and it is making this into a 6-car battle as it stands. This is Alzugare versus Suarez. Alzugare is ahead of Suarez. Rasmussen and Schnabel for Alcantech NHR seemingly getting their pace back as this race goes on. And Hay, who's had a very tricky day so far, he is actually in P3 out of the pro round. He is with Grosseto, Lado, Sandstrom, another Alcantech driver, rounds out this big pack of drivers.
You see those 2 Alcantech cars in the middle there. Rasmussen and Schnabel trying to find the way through and tried to, but it looked like they were trying to almost bump draft one another as we look down
pass
on the
grass.
3 wide, the pass on the grass, it is on the run down to Parabolica, and I tell you what, he's going to do it, but they somehow squeeze through and right round onto the outside. Algajari just about holds on, but the 2 Alcantechs are on the inside. As we head across the start-finish line, are we going to go 3 wide again? Yes, we are. It is game on here. 4 minutes off on the clock. Are we going to have 4 wide? Go on, someone make it happen. Make it rain. And Monza is onto the brakes. They're still 3 wide. And is it going to make it through? Sam, how have they done that? They've all emerged out the other side. But we have got 4 lots of 2 wide on the exit of the first chicane.
Oh, Suarez, credit to him, he backed out of that first chicane incident. He was on the outside, but he just made it 2 wide in the end, as we still is going on. Alzugare versus Rasmussen. Rasmussen with the inside line, but we've seen this outside line work really well so far in this race, and it's actually Rasmussen who's at threat of going off the track. He goes a little bit off track, who cares? He's got ahead, uses the gravel to his advantage, and he is up into 8th place as Rasmussen, who was falling back earlier on in the race. He was struggling for pace, but he's been able to catapult himself back up into the top. top 8, and now his teammate Schnabel will be desperate to go follow him through and try to put an end to all this madness.
Oh, Sam, I don't want this madness to end. Somebody get a dice, roll it, because I think that is how we're going to define who's going to finish where out of this pack. They are absolutely everywhere. They're chopping and changing positions one after another, and they are not done. They're not dusted by any stretch of imagination, as bumbling across the curves on the exit. Lennart Schnabel there trying to find his way past the Spaniard Alguerari. Can he do it? Well, he's on the inside, but he's going to be under threat on the run down to turn 1, and we have still got 2 more laps at least left remaining of this action. This cacophony of mayhem is all going to happen for 2 more goes. Oh, do not let this end. This is why we come sim racing, for moments like this, for action like this. As the Spaniard, well, he's outdone both the Alcatel cars, but he's run straight on, and then they've run in a bit too deep themselves. He's going to have a slowdown there. It's Alguerari, but he might just burn this off in time. How is he going to do that? He's made it work, Sam.
No, he's got to serve it. He's got to serve it, surely. He was so quick across. He's going to have a huge slowdown, I would have thought. But I think he's going to try to serve it tactically. Gives it up. Will he be slow through the chicane? This could be really problematic for a few of the judges if he tries to serve it around here. Oh, they're super slow. That's one way to serve the slowdown. There's contact between the two of them. Oh, they're all off. I think that's 4 cars. They're toppling over one another. The greatness falls into calamity right there. They're broken across the circuit. Sandstrom and Schnabel and Alzugari and Suarez all coming to an end. And, well, it was good whilst it lasted, Tim.
Well, to quote my mother, Sam, calm down or someone's going to end up getting hurt. And that is what we've just experienced there. But we're going to go for round 1 more time, because there's 50 seconds left on the clock, and our leaders are just coming around to cross the start-finish line once again. 1 more lap, 1 more set of opportunities. Who can improve on where they are? Teammates occupying the top 2, Arvidarsson and Olsen. Are they going to play it safe? Is there going to be an attack? Wagner is closing in on Rosenkrantz for 3rd right now. So podium still not fully sorted out here in the final. We ride on board with Tobias Olsen, a sim race, Sweden Esports. His teammate Arvidarsson just ahead of him. 2.5 seconds behind is Rosenkrantz, but being attacked by Wagner right now. There's all sorts going on in the background. Further down the field, Charney and Alguerari into the pits. They've clearly been suffering from damage because of that massive incident we saw happen earlier on. But Sam, is Olsen going to play it nice? Is he going to let his teammate win? Or are we going to see a fight to the line between these two? A late lunch, but I see in the background there, I'll tell you what, Wagner, he's giving it absolutely everything he got to try and get that last podium place off Rosenkrantz.
I reckon Olsen's going to try to get the cut back coming out of the parabolica. I don't think he's going to do anything more than that. I don't think he's going to go for a dive into the parabolica. That's tricky to do on a driver who isn't your teammate. But, oh, that's a big slide that might compromise our Vidson's line. And Olsen is going to have a chance. We've had so much in this A final. The only thing we're lacking here is a run to the line. I think we might just get that.
Well, there's an Alcatel car just trying to limp back to the pits there. That's going to compromise, but here we go. Olsen trying to find his way past. Arvidarsson saying, you don't have any of that, my son. I'm holding on to this first place, and it looks like Olsen in the number 1 car is going to have to settle for 2nd, but looking in the background, Rosenkrantz will hold on to that last podium place. Wagner couldn't quite do enough, but the Pro-Am driver, Jack Reeve, the Brit, in the end, a great drive from him, winning class, 5th overall. That is amazing. Boberg finishes 2nd in class. Alistair Hay picks up the last podium place, up an incredible 9, as well as Luedo as well. To round out the podium in Pro-Am, Griffin, we barely mentioned him, Sam, helped out by the big incident, which you're going to see a replay of shortly, but up 11 places. The AM driver in the final, 12th overall.
Yeah.
You can't ask. That's a British underdog story if there ever was one.
And once again, my prediction for him winning the title this season looking very strong right now. But I think he gained 4 places on that last lap just because of those incidents, which I think we might get a replay of because it was craziness. So I think we had pretty much everyone involved, didn't we? There was a slow up. Sandstrom tried to get through. Oh, he got past one. He couldn't get past the other. And I'm trying to figure out who that was who was very slow through all of it. Was it Alistair Hay, maybe? Who I think just had to come to a stop pretty much to get through all of that mess. But Rasmussen was just ahead of it. Lado managed to get through it. And then I think Hay and Force were just at the rear of it and far enough back that they were able to avoid it. The drivers in the heart of that battle, no chance.
Wow, some big defining moments here today at Monza. Well, we're going to head into a quick break right now. We'll be back on the other side when we're going through the race results. We'll see you then. Comfort of these sofas right now, because what a race that was. Wow.
Yeah, it was. It had everything, didn't it? We had 3 wide, we had 4 wide, we had that race to the line as well. Just the close quarters racing that we had, and the fact that I think in that midfield when you had the drivers so close to one another in terms of pace, they just couldn't get away from one another. I think that was one of the best elements of that race. That yeah, you was forced to battle against other drivers for the entire event.
So let's take a look at the results. And the first victory of the season. Olsen picking up that 2nd place, and Rosenkrantz in the end just about holding off Conor Wagner to pick up the last podium place in round 1. So much Wagner 4th, then Jack Reeve. What a drive from him. I mean, 5th overall from the Pro-Am driver. It was a great result for him, Sam. I mean, there's going to be some other disappointments out there. For Semstra in 6th, real disappointment. Boberg, he had a great drive to get himself into 7th overall, 2nd in class. Rasmussen, another driver, maybe a bit disappointed, likewise Lado, but hey, in the end, running at that top 10 and also on the podium in class.
Yeah, for sure. And then, of course, Michael Griffin, a terrific result for him in P11. Martinson, I struggled to keep track of everything that happened, honestly, to Martinson. But he had that slowdown lap 1, I believe, from 4th position on the grid, cut across the 2nd chicane, and that was a big issue for him. Aaron Smith, who was further up, and then I think fell down a bit. Of course, he'll be pleased to just get into that A final after that tricky heat. And then Charney, 2nd out of the AMs, Glamsetzer, Vors, Grassetto, Schmidt in 18th place, Alzugari in 19th. Look at all those pros. Morfotova, my pick for the Pro-Ams in 20th. Sandstrom, Suarez, Grant and Schnabel rounding out the 24 car. So lots of big names having a tricky start. I mean, Schnabel, he's consistently been in the top 3 in our F3 and F4 championships. That's not the start of the season that he wanted.
I've seen many great things from Lennart Schnabel. As you mentioned, one of the names really struggled here today. And there's some real, defining moments of this race. You just see if going on in the background right now, the Alcatech guys basically bump drafting one another was not something you tend to see in single-seaters.
No, it's risky, and you need to practice that beforehand as well, because what you don't want to do is do it and then just whoop straight up into the air. So that was good that the guys had clearly practiced that beforehand. That's what they had to do in order to get their way through the order. If you're 3 wide in that scenario, you don't want to make it 4 wide as well. We need so 4 wide because that was the pass on the grass. I think that was Rasmussen, I believe, on the inside. And in the end, that was crucial because that got him ahead of the pack, and in the end, not in the big crash that we saw.
Wow. I mean, that melee was just truly defining, really, of what we're about to see. I mean, you can see from the pictures in the background, they were at it yet again. That bump drafting from the 2 Alcantech cars really starting to play a part of trying to, keep themselves ahead. I hold on to that inside line, but I still, even seeing a second time round time, I still don't know quite how they made it through. I mean, just look at them. I mean, they're all over one another. You don't go 3 wide into turn 1. It's a struggle at times for a lot of people just to go 2 wide. Those guys made it 3 wide. I mean, what? Wow.
Yeah, it's just control over the car. I think they're being able to brake a little bit earlier when you're on the inside. This is when it came to an end, unfortunately. I think there was a little bit of contact just ahead, or Rasmussen, apologies, so it was on the following lap, wasn't it? That was that big contact. But so yeah, that was how Rasmussen just about managed to get ahead, and then, oh, they're just squeezing one another, but it's pushing the limits, Tim, in terms of what's fair. But I think pretty much for 99% of that battle, it was all absolutely within the regulations, and it's just that respect for one another, leaving that car's width, which we often don't see in real life racing, which these guys, I think, have really learnt well in the sim racing world.
Well, I'll tell you what, I mean, F3 at times does have a bit of a reputation, doesn't it, for being a bit of a death, a bit of a murder series. But, I mean, credit, as you just said, they left each other room. Credit where credit's due to those drivers. We can have a bit of a chat to one of them now. We're now joined by our race winner, Vincent. Well, congratulations, first of all. That looks incredibly tough out there at times. I'm not sure if he can quite hear us right now. I'm not hearing him. Well, I'll come to him very shortly. I mean, Sam, even so, I mean, those 2 remained right up against one another, for the lead right until the very end. Just didn't lead each other alone. And of course, I mean, Conor Wagner nearly part of it as well. He came close, but it just got pushed out a little bit towards the end and ended up on the grass. The Secunda Variante, the second chicane. It was the hotbed of action and incidents today.
Yeah, it really was. And actually, that move around the outside from Arvidsson was fairly crucial, and of course that ended up in the off for his rival, for Wagner, and that sent him back, and of course saw the 1-2 in the end, but just good hard racing from Arvidsson to earn that.
So I believe we can hear from our race winner now. Hopefully you can hear us. Can you hear us, Arvidsson? Few technical difficulties still. We'll see if we can. Let's go picturesque. Backshot. So can you hear us? Oh, apparently managed to sort things out, I believe. Hopefully you can hear us now. Let's see.
I can hear you guys.
No, still experiencing a couple of technical difficulties, a few gremlins in the system. First broadcast from the studio. It was bound to happen. The beauty of live television. It always happens, doesn't it? It's got some picturesque pictures in the background here of the glorious Monza. But Sam, with so many different results, I mean, I can't put it on you to name the moment of the day. I really can't, because I think we'll be here all night trying to slice it through all of them. But any standout moments or standout positions that really go for you? I mean, for myself, it's got to be surely, Jack Reeve, Pro-Am winner and 5th overall. That was one of my standout ones.
Yeah, I mean, Reeve's one of our most experienced drivers as well in Apex Racing League, and he was under the radar. We really didn't see him too much because he was behind sort of the main pack for the podium. He was ahead of that midfield pack for sort of 8th position. And so he was kind of just going by his own business and did
a little bubble by himself, wasn't he? And it's always normally a good sign for us as commentators when you don't mention someone as a driver. You don't see them that often because it normally means they've been in an event-filled race, really quiet, and it's worked out an absolute treat for them because they're normally finishing quite high up.
Yeah, exactly. Really good points for him to get that on the board straight away. It's huge points in that A final. I mean, you score points for your heats as well, but it's the A final where you score approximately double the amount of points as you do for your heats. So that is absolutely huge for Reeve to get those points in the bag. And in a competitive Pro-Am championship, that could be the difference between first and second.
And talking about our picks and tips for the championship, Bolesova, however, not having the best of races, bit of curse the commentator put onto them.
Yeah, it's was always going to get tricky to get their way through. I think Molfatova was just struggling with a bit of pace tonight, honestly. I think in qualifying, I think she was a little bit further down than what we'd expect, so that made it a little bit more tricky in order to get through.
Definitely was. I believe well, he says fingers crossed, can we hear from our race with? Can have off? No, I'm not too sure. No, I don't think we can hear from him right now. Bit of a shame though. We'll later heard from a few of our winners and drivers, but that such as life and said earlier for Fly TV. But I mean, they're going to be absolutely over the moon, aren't they? I mean, could have been a lockout of the podium for Sim Racing Sweden, but not quite. I mean, but coming to this race, you told them they got first and second. You're going to, you take that with both hands, surely.
I think so, especially around Monza, I think, of all circuits, because it is such a level playing field because of the slipstream effect out on circuit. I think when we go to sort of the later rounds, then it kind of becomes a little bit more pace oriented. And so that was a big thing for them to get those points on the board. I think as well for Olsen, Arvidsson. Not too many races under his belt in ARL, so it's good for him to get his first race win under his belt. And for Olsen as well, it was a tricky F4 season, honestly, for him. So to get that back, I don't think he's lacking confidence. The guy's won a million races in the past. But I think that's still nice for him to get this season off to the right track. And good as well for Martinsson. I mean, again, he doesn't need any backing up, but his pace was with those guys. Didn't work out today for him. That slowdown cost him in the A final. But, who's not to say that he might come out on top at Fuji.
Well, I mean, it's still a long season, very much ahead of us. Fuji still to come. Next round, similar aspects. I mean, Fuji well known for that mesmeric, that mammoth start-finish straight, where I'm sure we will see people overtake. That is no question. But then we'll also see people possibly even then re-overtaking someone alongside them.
It's such a long straight. We saw it sort of in the GT3s as well. So it might be something that we see in later on in the season. I think we might try to get a couple of the interviews in just a moment.
We'll do it from the comms desk,
Sam. As we will do it from the commentary desk, I think, in just a moment. So we'll just see you in a second, and we'll have a chat with some of our race winners in just a second.
Definitely, we're back. And welcome back. We're now joined by our race winner, Isaac Arvidsson. Congratulations. I mean, it wasn't quite as simple. I mean, it was a good fight between yourself and your teammate, Tobias Alston, right to the end.
Yeah, it was. I think it was a sweaty race, and I don't really know what to say. it's I was in the lead for the most of the race and just trying to defend from the guys behind. They were probably faster than me, but I have the consistency, so I could hold them back a little bit, at least. And Tobias and me did have a really good fight in the end, so I enjoyed it.
It was incredibly close. Was there any point where you felt maybe you weren't going to quite hold on and that Tobias would make his way through?
Every corner, actually. So it was. I think I had never been this scared before because Tobias is quite an aggressive driver, but a fair driver. So he's using all his skills to get through, and so I was like waiting for his dive or something, and I think it was fair racing with us in the last corner. So yeah,
Definitely was some absolute cracking racing between the pair of you. But crashing on the victory, anyone you give a shout out to?
I'm gonna give a shout out to Simrace Sweden. Thank them for all the support, and yeah, that's it, I think.
Definitely. Congratulations. That is your victor here today, Isaac Arvidsson of Sim Race Sweden Esport. Now, Sam, I believe you're done with one of our drivers.
Yes, and I've just looked at the list, and it's an absolutely insane list. So great to see so many drivers wanting a chat. Let's drag in Jack Reeve, who was our Pro-Am winner. Congratulations, Jack. We didn't see a whole lot of you in the A final, but it turned out to be a fantastic result.
Yeah, thank you very much. Just tried to, keep it nice and clean, not get in anyone's way, not get held up, and just keep it on the track. That was my main goal there.
Yeah, and that was certainly worked out well for you. It seemed like you just had really good pace as well. I mean, is this a car track combination that you particularly enjoy, or have you just become a lot more comfortable with the Formula 3 car?
To be honest, I think they've done some recent updates and made it so it takes a lot less to warm up. So I think I was just able to get my car and my tires in the right temperature like very early on, and was just able to be so comfortable from the get-go compared to last season.
And we look forward to sort of the rest of the season. We've got, Fuji, and we've got the likes of Long Beach. I mean, what circuits are you particularly looking forward to in this championship and in the official series as well?
Well, I have never driven Fuji, so I'm actually very looking forward to that because it's an amazing track and never driven it, so that will be a laugh. Interlagos, that's one of my favorite tracks, so that will be a very good race as well.
Awesome. Well, it was a fantastic start to your season, Jack. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
I'll just give a shout out to my parents. They're currently on a cruise right now, and yeah, this wouldn't be possible without them. So hopefully, I did a good job. And
Awesome.
to you guys as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jack. Hopefully your parents have a good time, and we'll see you back next week.
You too. Have a good one.
Next up, Sam, I've managed to grab a chat with our third place overall driver. It is a Chris Rosenkrantz. Chris, wow. I mean, Conor Wagner, he kept you fighting right until the very end.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty happy about the result. To start P8 in the race, so for me, it was not about the goal to get to the podium. I was more thinking about to hold the position because Monza is always, so especially in iRacing, really difficult and a track for luck because everyone is on the same level,
You talk about that luck. I mean, you made up 5 places, having started in 8th, I believe it was, and just talk us through what it was like making up those places, especially in those opening laps where it's a really competitive field out there.
Yeah, it was difficult. I was always thinking that I am now touching the guys because I have since 3 days ago the issue my PC broke and I was running on a potato laptop, so I was not able to run 3 screens, just one screen with 60 Hz. and I was hoping that I'll not touch the guys, so it was always pretty close. If I was a bit unfair today, I want to say sorry to the guys.
That's. I think that, given those circumstances, I think they can all appreciate that. Chris, before we let you go and celebrate your third place here today at Monza, anyone you want to give a shout out to at all?
I want to thank my team Simsa Esports and to you, the Apex team, for the nice broadcast and organization.
That's no problem at all. It's Chris Rosenkrantz, Simsa Esports, who finished third here today. Sam, who have you managed to grab and for a chat now with?
Well, it'd be really good to get an interview with one of our amateur drivers. So I've dragged in Mr. Chani. Cambrali Chani joins us in the commentary box now. Congratulations, Cambrali. Second place in the AMS and crucially in that A final. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. And we came so close to first place. I had it right in front of me until that second last lap. And unfortunately for me, people seem to love my car panels, so I just got a drive-through penalty by almost no fault of my own, and I just had to serve it in the last lap, and I just lost all those positions. But I came
Yeah, it
so
was
close.
absolutely.
The first time in my life walking away with a double win. Hello?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was a brilliant result for yourself and just really good pace as well because in the heat we saw I think outside the top 10 at the start, you were able to move your way through. You're battling with the pro-ams. Do you think you're going to be able to keep this performance up through the entire 9 rounds?
Unfortunately not. I think this is a one-off because I love this circuit. I love this car, and in my lifetime, I've probably driven 10,000 laps around Monza. So I'm just really happy that I was able to get this moment of a win in my class, and I came so close to pole, but I didn't pull it off. But overall, I'm just really grateful for this opportunity to have achieved this. Last time I came here wasn't so great, but I'm very happy that we made amends this time.
We're very happy that you managed to get that good result, Cambrali. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
A huge thank you to all of my sponsors, the team at Spen, my sponsors Find, Sasha Maglov, and everyone that comes on these streams to support me, everyone that supports me on my social medias, and just everyone in this league, everyone at Apex Racing for the splendid job they do in hosting these leagues. I'm absolutely grateful, and because we're in Italy, I'd love to practice my Italian and say andiamo, grazie ragazzi.
Awesome. Well, really thanks for having a chat with us, Cambrali. Hopefully we see plenty more of you later on in the season, and best of luck for Fuji.
Thank you very much.
Wow. Let's have a bit of a chat with another one of our drivers. So make your way through the long list here. Next up, we've managed to grab Aaron Smith, who, well, had a bit of a topsy-turvy race and event here today. Monza. Aaron, up and down like a yo-yo through the field, but I think, having said that, to come away, up 7 places in the final and finishing 15th, as a recovery, you can't really ask for too much more than that, can you?
No, not really. I mean, it shows I have good pace this season, considering I haven't even had much time to practice this week. So it's shown that we've got really good pace just for the rest of the season. Coming from last to second in the consolation was quite nice as well. But yeah, just had too many incidents throughout the Heat 1 and the feature. It was sort of all over the place, but it's sort of expected at Monza, and I believe this is probably going to be my drop round already. But yeah, just a bit of a frustrating day, but still made the best of it.
You were in the middle of some of the big incidents during the race. Just put us inside the cockpit, what it's like when you've got cars flying around, having collisions all around you. To try and keep a cool head and try and pick your way through the traffic. How much of it is skill and how much of it is just blind luck and faith?
I think it's more a mix of both because, sometimes you can full throttle it through a massive pileup and make it through unscathed, but it's oftentimes it's not very smart to do that. Backing off and going a bit slower is often the best thing and easiest thing you can do. I don't really see why some people, especially in Heat 1, some people would just floor it through incidents and make it much worse than it should have been. But yeah, I think it's kind of a mixture of both, and it's crazy in the cockpit watching everything go on around you, and you're screaming your head off, thinking, "Why does this have to happen to me?"
And I mean, you sort of say about that. I mean, in terms of your strategy, based on what you've just said, was it pretty much in the heats, just and I assume going forward, just to play it that much more safe, just to get inside that top 10 and not worry about how much you are inside that top 10?
Yeah, I mean, the key to winning championships is always consistency, and I've shown that I have pace, and I don't really need to fight certain people. Like, I think in Heat 1, I could have made some decisions better, fighting some of the pros, because I'm not fighting them, so I could have just let them go, because I'm not fighting them, they're not fighting me, so it wouldn't have changed much. And yeah, I think for the rest of the season, I'm going to try just be a bit more careful and hopefully be more consistent. But sometimes these things can't be avoided, and other people just hit you off the road. But yeah, I'll try my best.
Right. And Aaron, before we let you go, anyone you want to give a shout out at all?
Apex, as usual. Congrats on having a proper studio broadcast as well. Was really good for the first time round. My team at Delta Sport, they provide some amazing setups, and that's some of the best coaching I've ever experienced. And to Jack as well, he had one of the best races I've seen him do in quite a while, and rightly so. He's now leading the Pro-Am Championship, so well done to him.
Definitely. That's Aaron Smith, who finished 15th here today, up 7 places. Sam, who have you managed to grab?
I think I'll have a chat with another one of our A finalists. We've got Palikui Grant. Now, Mr. Grant, I've got to admit, we've been butchering your name for the entire evening. Indulge us on the perfect pronunciation of your first name.
Sure thing. How you pronounce my first name is actually Palikui. It's a Hawaiian name, and there is technically a glottal stop between the U and the I, but Palikui would do. If you want to cut it short, Kui is fine. I usually let everybody call me that.
Awesome. Well, it's a fantastic name anyway, and you had a very good result for your first Apex Racing League event. How did you find it out there? Because it seemed manic out on circuit.
It was absolutely insane. And all credit to Aaron, I believe, who managed to pass me on the last lap before I absolutely lost it in the Scary chicane on the consolidation race. But just the competition is really high here in the Apex League, and I really found myself challenged by all the drivers here. Everyone has such a high standard in how they race, and I was just glad to have made it to the feature.
Definitely. I mean, what was going through your head when you made that mistake in the V final? Because you had a nice gap behind, but if that damage had been 10% more, I'm not sure if you would have made it.
Yeah, I was trying to feel the car as soon as I hit the wall as well, but the only thing in my mind after I hit the wall was cross the line. And so I looked at my relative and I saw there was still a little bit of a gap behind for the next driver. So I just had to make it through Parabolica without wrecking somebody else. And I'm glad I was able to do so.
Well, it's really fantastic to have you in the championship, Kui. And is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yes, my grandparents, Papa and Tutu, hey, I love you guys. Thank you for watching, and all of my brothers, and also to my friends Suki and Dallas. Thanks for watching.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having a chat with us, and see you back next time.
I'll see you back. It was a pleasure racing with you guys.
Awesome. I've managed to grab our last interview of the day. Simon Ramaperio joins us now. Simon, wow, I mean, definitely one that drives to remember, definitely for this season for yourself, but in some ways, maybe to forget. I mean, it was a real, another one of our drivers who has real up and down type of race.
Yeah, there's a lot to learn from this race. I'm still relatively new to this sim racing. I've only been racing for about 3 months, and I guess there's a big difference here in like how other drivers behave, and I just got to get used to it. I think I had some really good pace in qualifying. I had some really good pace in the Heat 2 race, but then it all ended on the final corner of the final lap.
Yeah, it was definitely painful for you, and we felt it in the commentary booth as well. I mean, even so, I mean, Monza definitely, it can be a bit treacherous, being low downforce. Fuji, next time out, how do you feel about that one? How do you fancy your chances in Japan?
I mean, I'm typically a bit faster on a bit higher downforce setups, so hopefully I can do better there. I think I think I had some decent pace today. I just wasn't able to capitalize on the race.
Definitely.
So let's hope I can carry it over to next week, and let's see what happens.
Definitely, we'll have all of our fingers crossed for you here at Apex Racing TV. Before you let you go, Simon, anyone you want to give a shout out to at all?
Not really. I mean, I'll just shout myself out and say, keep an eye on me for the upcoming races. I'll definitely be doing better than I did today.
Definitely. That's Simon Ramperio there. And, well, we're just going to head to a quick ad break now. Myself and Sam even. We'll be back in the studio afterwards just to round things up. We'll see you then.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Hello and welcome back. Well, definitely interesting to get some of the thoughts and insights of our drivers there, Sam, wasn't it? And, well, I think definitely one of our more eventful races we've seen in recent times here at Apex Racing TV. Monza always brings the action, but even so, I mean, who could argue with that one? We had some great racing.
Yeah, we really did. And if that's what we've come to, or if that's what we're going to get for the rest of the season, bring it on. I mean, we want to see that. And I think we've got a few rivalries as well, potentially starting. I think each of the challenges is super competitive. I think the pros, the pro-ams, and the AMs, even the teams, I think could be quite competitive as well. So it should be a fantastic 8 rounds of the season to come up.
Well, definitely. Of the 4 races we've seen today, anyone your favourites?
I think the A final, just because we saw so much from it. The B final was good as well, to be fair as well, wasn't it? Particularly that finale was absolutely crazy. But I think the A final, the fact that we had the pass on the grass, I loved that. We had that mammoth battle around 10th position for probably 3 or 4 laps, I think. And then, of course, that battle for the race win, not just between the Sim Race Sweden guys, but also amongst a couple of others. So I think that will be the best race of the evening, and perhaps even the best race of the season. It's going to be tricky to beat it.
Sam, that's big boots to fill, that is. I mean, well, like you said, it had absolutely everything, that final race, didn't it? The cathedral speed that is Monza. It just built to a crescendo. And as we built to a crescendo here for today's show, well, we have got more things left to cover off. First off, we've got an open day where you can join myself and Sam here at Apex Racing TV, our pro drivers. We've got a competition on, chance to use some of this great equipment like the pedals and the wheel down there. And well, you can bag yourself some free tickets by following the link that's going to be posted into the chat right now. Make sure you check that one out, completely free. There's a free barbecue as well. Who doesn't love free food? well, I'll speak to myself a little bit there, really a bit, Sam, don't I? But we'll absolutely great day out. It's meet all of the pro drivers from the Apex Racing team as well to boot. And also, coming out on Monday, something a little bit special that myself and Sam have been filming. I'm sure you look forward to seeing the Late Apex, a brand new show covering all sims within sim racing. Make sure you check it out. And of course, as always, give us a little like and press the old subscribe button too, and turn on the bell so you know when we go live here at Apex Racing TV, so you experience more of our great broadcasts. We're not quite done here on the channel for this evening. Later on this evening is Formula Renault 3.5. Can Eddie Samborski continue on his rich vein of Formula he had last season? 11 wins out of 12. We're going to see someone else take the fight to him. Will it be someone like, well, Jason Sieg, who picked up the other victory? Or Joshie Stewart, maybe. Remains to be seen, but, well, from myself, Tim Cox and Sam Fitzpatrick, thanks very much for joining us. What's been some epic racing here from the Apex Racing Academy Formula 3 VRS Super Series. And we'll see you in a week's time, where we will be heading to the iconic and amazing Fuji in Japan.